Into the Fog is a year-round podcast dedicated to covering Halloween Horror Nights Orlando.
From speculation season and announcements to opening night and the final screams of the event, we break down everything HHN.
Follow along for weekly discussions, rumors, news, and all things Halloween Horror Nights. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Into the Fog, an HHN podcast. I'm your host, Woody, and with me, as always, my co-host, Dustin.
What's going on, everybody? You can reach us at our socials at Into the Fog Pod on both IG and TikTok, and Into the Fog HHN on X and YouTube. So the Spec came out in Easter, so it's been out a little while. It was made by Horror Night Nightmares and Insider Legacy. So let's go ahead and start. Woody, take us on a ride on the very first house.
Alrighty, that very first house is Soundstage 22, codename Balloon. This is where El Artista was this past year, and this is the only confirmed house from this year. They announced it at MegaCon, and it is Jack and Oddfellow, Chaos versus Control. The description of the house is, witness Jack the Clown's unholy origins, then enter Dr. Oddfellow's wicked and twisted universe, where the two most powerful forces in horror face off in a deathmatch, Chaos versus Control. Along with this announcement, they gave us 3 different pictures of concept art. And the first picture is, it looks like Jack's getting sucked into the Oddverse. And this automatically reminds me of the Vortex Tunnel. They've used this Vortex Tunnel in past houses. It's a tunnel that you walk through. Everybody knows what it is. It has the swirl and it disorients you. What about the second photo, D? What do you think it is?
So to me, it kind of looks like Jack takes over hosting the show Jacked Up, and then Oddfellow is turned into a Jack in the Box. So could be a little bit of a metaphor on what to expect in the house, but overall the art kind of looks pretty solid.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about that third photo? What did you think of that?
This photo, it reminds me, like, it looks like it's a picture of Jack and Oddfellow standing on top of a green skull, and this just instantly reminds me of the Cane of Souls, which was Dr. Oddfellow's. Jack stole it from him whenever he took the Ringmaster's outfit. And this is like signifying like both of them, they can't exist without each other. As they said in the panel, they're the same side of the coin and there's no winner. The coin is standing upright. So it's them uniting, realizing that they're more powerful together and they're going to inflict all the torture and chaos on us, basically. Which is, it makes me ready for this house. And plus, my favorite house designer, Dylan Koloff, is designing this house. So you know it's going to be scenic and great sets. Like, it gives me chills just thinking about it now. But let's jump into the next house. D, what you got?
Yeah, before I start, Dylan Koloff is usually a guaranteed banger when he releases a house. So continue our walk around the park. Next house would be codename Car, and it looks like the burning book on the map.
Really, this is in Soundstage 23A, by the way.
Yes. Possibilities, there's really only one. It's Evil Dead Burn, which is a movie that has not released yet, so very minimal info to go off of. So it's currently set to release July 10th of this year. Me personally, I've seen Evil Dead Rise, so this looks to be more of a spinoff to that. Evil Dead Rise came out in 2023, and to me, all the Evil Deads kind of stand on their own. Once we got to the later years, and it no longer was sequels, more of standalone films. But the only real background that we have of this movie is a woman who seeks comfort in her in-laws in their remote house when she loses her husband in a car accident. She discovers this ancient book, but the family reunion becomes more of a nightmare than something pleasant. So really interested to see how that movie turns out. Maybe give us some more info.
Yeah, definitely going to have to see it before we go in. I've never seen any Evil Dead films, so I don't really have any input on that. But
very first one came out in the 90s, so I've really only seen the ones that have come out in the 2010s, 2020s, but like I said, they can all be their own movies. So
yeah, the Evil Dead's been at the event before also. So they did Ash versus Evil Dead. They were going to do Evil Dead Rise, but it got pulled at the last second for some reason, which that turned into Hellblock Horror. So hopefully this time we get to actually see this house because I'm interested. I want to see the movie.
I mean, the movies are great. I mean, talk about paranormal type
It's-
horror movies. I mean, it definitely is in a realm of its own. So
Yeah, people say that's an Evil Dead film, so that's all you can expect. I guess I just had to do my homework, of course. But
right.
that next one is going to be Soundstage 23B. The code name is Bus, and it's the Rock Fingers or I Love You in sign language. And the possibilities are Ozzy Osbourne original, maybe like a Heavy Metal Hell from Slaughter Cinema 2. That was one of the rooms in the first year you went. It had the 2 rooms and it had the person split in half, and it had the little rocker dude with the skull.
Yeah, a lot to take in.
Yeah, and then what my thought it could be, I haven't heard anybody say this, but it could possibly be like a former scare zone that was at Dr. Oddfellow's year in HHN 32, and that would be Vamp 69. And the reason why I said that is because it's got Oddfellow in it, and there's vampires, and the code name is Bus, and the sign is I Love You. So that, and this was basically, this zone was where Oddfellow's followers attacked a 60s music festival. And it makes sense to me. I haven't heard anybody say this. So it's like it's an original thought that I had, like, because it ties in. The bus was in the scare zone. That's the code name. And the sign is I love you. It's supposed that everybody says it's a rock sign. This is a rock sign. This is I love you in sign language. And it was they were hippies. So everything was peace and love. So that's like my brainchild, I guess you could say. It's what I think it is.
If it ends up being that means you in your bag for the speculation.
Absolutely. But back to Ozzy. There's so many possibilities of what it could be. Like you have him biting the head off the bat. He's the Prince of Darkness, and it'd be a tribute. I mean, yeah, we lost him about a year ago, so it's kind of soon. I don't really know if
it's kind of the same thing though, like they did with the Wyatt Six. Bray Wyatt dies a few years back, and then they want to pay tribute. So.
Yeah, I think whatever they do, Sharon's going to sign off on it. So, and it's going to be approved by the family. And I think that they would absolutely do like a bang up job, and it'll be nothing but a tribute to him.
Which I think that's what makes speculations great, especially when there's so many possibilities a specific house could be. Like back to the Soundstage 23A. I mean, there really was only one possibility. So
yeah, it's a book on fire.
Having multiple possibilities is what makes the all-season great.
And that one, back to 23A, the code name was Car. And in the description of the film, she loses her husband in a car accident. I just put that together. So I would say that's confirmed, but it ain't confirmed yet. Nothing's confirmed until it's out and HHN posts it.
Yeah, I don't mind having several different possibilities for Codename Bus. I mean, it'll keep us talking about it for a while until it actually gets officially released. So.
And this would probably be an original. This would be an original. It depends. If it's Ozzy, it might be on both coasts, which would signify that it wouldn't be an original, like, because the Heavy Metal Hell and the Vamp 69, both of them are former scare zone / house or parts of a house, and they wouldn't be on both coasts because I couldn't see Hollywood having that. But why don't you take us into the next one, D?
So we're looking at Soundstage 24B, codename Train. The pictures of makeup set, possibilities, Vanity Ball, former scare zone from HHN 29 and 2019, or BuzzCon makes beauty products and it goes terrible like all their products.
Yeah, all their products do. They were the reason why the Toxic 20s had that green sludge that got everywhere. It was supposed to be rat poison. Yeah, that was created by BuzzCon. And Bugs Eaten Alive, BuzzCon created, it was like an air conditioner for your house, but it sprayed out this green mist and it killed the bugs. But instead of killing the bugs, it turned them into gigantic, like you had a gigantic cockroach, spiders, stuff like that. It made them huge. And like they took over the science lab and all that stuff. And anything that BuzzCon does typically goes wrong. So if they're making a beauty product, and also on the picture, if you notice, there's like a little toxic sign. So there's if there's a toxic sign, Toxic 20s, BuzzCon, 2 and 2 together.
Right.
If they're making beauty products, it's like going to be that you put it on, it like distorts your face. You grow like an extra eyeball or something like that. and I'm actually very intrigued to see what it, because it's body horror, so
It's its own lane.
yeah, it intrigues me though. I love the concept, definitely.
You
But
can have every house as a big name brand house. I mean, you want to have a little authenticity.
yeah, this is an Orlando original. So
why don't you tell us about the next one?
The next one is Soundstage 24A. The code name is Chariot, and it's an upside down clock. This is the worst kept secret. Stranger Things 5. Even though I feel that there wasn't enough in the 5th season, like there's some elements I don't really know how you're going to do it throughout a whole house, because it basically takes place in like one spot. So I really don't know how they're going to incorporate that and make it into an entire house. But I mean, I'm intrigued because I love Stranger Things. Stranger Things is the reason why I came to the event in the first place, because I'm a Stranger Things fan, so I had to see it for myself. It was different just to walk through the actual scenes, but I personally hope that it's a compilation house of all the seasons and not just season 5. So that way they have more topics and it's a longer house. They can go through like from season 1 where they have the ABCs painted on the wall and all the lights and stuff like that, Demogorgon coming through the wall. And then like season 2, we go to the lab, you get the Demodogs and like everything.
And I hate to tell on myself, as much as you or my fiance's sisters has tried to convince me to watch Stranger Things, I cannot get into it.
No, you're going to have to watch it this year, bud. We'll sit down. We'll, if it's season 5, we'll sit through season 5, even though they're like 180 hours apiece.
Which my fiance's sisters all said they didn't like season 5.
It's not as good. Like season 4 left you on a cliffhanger where you were like, "Oh, shit's about to go down," and then it doesn't. It's like the biggest anticlimactic ending to a season, or to a show, I should say, not a season. Because season 4's ending was by far like it is the best, and it left you wondering. And season 5 came around, and it wasn't it. I didn't like it.
You're not really selling me on watching this.
No, watch it to 4. Watch it to season 4. Season 5 you can kind of cut out, even though you're probably going to have to do your homework if it's season 5. I'm going to read you're going to have to do you got a lot of HHN homework if you haven't watched any of the Stranger Things, especially if they do a compilation house. You're going to have to go through it all. But
for sure,
season 5 is I don't see how you can make that into a full house.
Me personally, if they're going to do that, to do it right, they're going to have to do a full compilation.
I hope so, because the first Stranger Things house was like a chef kiss. And then they did 2 and 3 together, and then they try to do 3 and 4. Like the other two houses were nowhere near as good as the first Stranger Things house.
Yeah, it was something I wanted to bring up that we talked about on our first episode. We said Jason Universals have done right. If that would have been made more into a compilation of all the Jason movies, the Jason or Friday the 13th, the original Jason X.
Like, that's what's bad, because they had Jason's 1 through 8 in there,
but you couldn't tell.
You couldn't tell because it was too dark and like
too convoluted, too clustered.
The best part was Jason's mom in the transition period. Like that was like the best part. Like the whole front half of the house where you walk through the shack, you see her head sitting there on the table.
When there's zero scare involved.
It wasn't scary at all. It was like you're walking through the movie. It was great, and then once you go to the second half, when you walk through the outside, his mom's sitting there. That boy drowned. Da, 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 da. Yeah, and you go into the second part, and then it's just Jason after Jason after Jason after Jason after Jason, which brings you back to Stranger Things. If they would have actually took instead of trying to, they had the scenes you wanted to see in Stranger Things 4. Like they had Chrissy on top of the trailer, all disformed from Vecna. You had Eddie on top of the trailer fighting. Like the only thing I wanted from the Eddie scene was him playing the guitar and just ripping it.
Yeah.
And we didn't get it. We got him on top of the trailer fighting the Demobats. It wasn't. I wish he was sitting there playing the guitar, or have it on his back just to reference it. But if they could have done season 4 way better. than what it was. It was a dud in comparison.
Yeah, it seems like they try to rush these seasons and pump them out for volume and don't actually take time to.
Season 4 of the actual. I'm talking about season 4 of the House.
Oh yeah.
No, season 4 of the actual show is Chef's Kiss, the best season. And that's what's bad. It had the best where it could transfer into a house. It was probably the scariest season of Stranger Things.
To take your word for it.
And it just wasn't done right. But enough of that. Let's move on to the next one, D.
So this next one, continuing our walk around the park, it's going to be at the Fast and Furious location, codename Helicopter. The symbol's guts with blood dripping off of it. The possibilities, according to HHN Wiki, HR Blood and Guts was a host of a house from HHN 21 2011. The name of that house was HR Blood and Guts Presents Holiday of Horror, with the main character being Larry Kurtzberg, or better known as HR Blood and Guts. He was a Broadway performer in the 30s, was very successful later, and then he retired to be a taxidermist. But back in the 70s, he wanted more fame. So he went to talent agency in Cary, Ohio, I believe, and landed here.
Cary, Ohio is like where everything in HHN like lore goes down.
That just Cary, Ohio.
Yeah, Cary, Ohio. It's I don't know if it's a real place or not, but like all of like past houses and stuff, like most houses are set in Cary, Ohio. So like the Slaughter Cinema Theater is in Cary, Ohio, stuff like that.
I got you. Well, when he joined the talent agency in Cary, Ohio, he landed a gig working for the Channel 21 News on the Midnight Horror Show, and it later became one of his best shows in all the horror. The host, HR Blood Guts, or Larry, decided to do an original show that would be based on all the holidays, would basically just turn into the most major holidays into a messed up horror version. But Larry was taking the role as HR Blood Guts too seriously and started to literally turn into the horror host so much that he demanded to be called that instead of his real name, Larry. Later on, the holiday horror show's rating began to tank due to the episode being so disturbing, and the loss of the advertiser revenue led the producer telling Larry that the show was going to be canceled. Well, as expected, this sent Larry into a frantic rage. He kidnapped the producers and some of the crew and decided that he wanted to do the holiday show one more time. He then began to torture them in all of the holiday sets, with each member of the crew being in a different episode of the show. And by the time the police showed up, Larry had tortured and killed the producer. The rest of the crew was taken to the hospital and later released surviving and ultimately quitting the news station. And as for Larry, he was taken to prison and now serving life. And also, as expected, showed no remorse for killing the producer. So a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, I could help explain it. I watched the walkthroughs on it and all that because I definitely was not going to HHN in 2011. So you walk in, they got like a pre-show. It shows Larry up on the screen. It's kind of like, you know how we walked through Wide 6, they had the screen and they had Bray doing like all the different things, like talking and stuff. It was kind of that deal, except for you were watching the TV show, HR Blood and Guts. Or, yeah, you're watching the TV show. So you walk in and you see Larry. He's sitting there, and I think it was supposed to be like 4th of July. He had like a firecracker or a bottle rocket shoved in the producer's mouth and was lighting it on fire and stuff. So, and then you just go through the holidays, and then like Easter, they had the Easter Bunny or the Feaster Bunny. And recently at Horrors Unleashed, not Untold. Horrors Untold, shout out. They're another HHN group. But Horrors Unleashed in Vegas, for this past Easter season, they had the Feaster Bunny, which was from HR Blood and Guts. So you got to actually see the Feaster Bunny, and it's exactly what you would think it is. A messed up Easter Bunny. Blood everywhere, his teeth, gnarly teeth. And then you go through the rest of the holidays. It had messed up Christmas, St. Patrick's Day, 4th of July.
Do you think this is going to be more of a remake of back from 2011, or is this going to be a revamped version, or more of a cameo?
I want to say that, I hope you can just bring it back and just redo it, because I never got to see it. And I love when holidays are messed up. Like, that's like in Slaughter Cinema 2, you had the Christmas one, and it was, you walk in and Santa's sitting there, ho, 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 hold still. And he's got an axe trying to hit you. And he's got all the elves are going crazy and stuff like that. I just love when it's a messed up holiday. Like
Well, if it ends up being that should definitely be interesting with some of the
It'll-
younger crowd that comes in, and we'll touch more on that later.
Yeah, it'll be higher in my hype list for sure.
Well,
But
hopefully it comes to fruition. Let's move further around the park and let us know about the next one.
yeah, of course. This is going to be in Tent 4. Code name is Tractor, and it's a lighter and 2 cigarettes, which tells me Sinners.
That movie, even though, I mean, call it recency bias, but that has to be one of the best. I wouldn't even call it a horror. I mean, it's got some horror sentiments with vampires and things like that, but from just
it's one of the most nominated horror films ever.
Because to me, it's a horror film that you can play, and it's not going to be perceived as a horror film.
No,
the production,
there's like 5 different movies going on in it. Like it's you got the horror aspect with the vampires, and then you got where it's just 2 brothers making a juke joint, and then it's also a story about a young kid trying to find his way, and he music is his way, but of course, it's not back in the time period that it's set in was not the way.
Right. I mean, if you haven't seen the movie, there might be spoilers, but kind of just to piggyback off what you were saying, back in that day and age, jazz music was music of the devil. So the little boy's dad,
bro.
Jazz and blues was kind of the same section.
Yeah.
Back then, but what the kid's father was trying to get him to understand is stay in the church, quit performing. You're gonna basically keep welcoming the devil to come see you, and you ain't.
His dad was a preacher,
right?
Yeah, so his daddy was the preacher. Yeah, but
probably one of my favorite movies. Michael B. Jordan definitely deserved an Oscar for that.
Absolutely, this probably one of my favorite movies that have been released in the last couple of years. Like I've seen a lot of stuff in the theaters, and that one was definitely. And then you had the multiple endings. Like you sat there at the end, watched the credit scene, then it had another ending, and then you watched the credit scene again, and it had another ending. And like that movie by far is one of the best movies in recent history, I would say.
Oh yeah. I mean, if there was a possibility to get 2 Oscars, I mean, Michael B. Jordan probably could have got one for playing each.
He should have. That movie, everything in that movie, everybody should have got something. Like because it was. Like best supporting actor, everything. Like that movie deserved all the flowers that it received and more. Like it is
directors did the job.
Everything. Like it's the best movie that's came out in a long time.
Yeah.
But why not hop into the next?
We'll talk about 10-3 next. Codename Hearst. It's a pincushion with pins in it. I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. What's the one horror icon that's got pins sticking out of a cushion, or better yet, his face?
Hellraiser, yeah.
So, I mean, this horror icon goes back before both of our lifetimes. So,
yeah. But this would be it's not technically the first time that he has came to the event because he was in the All Night Die-In.
But again, his Soul House, it would be.
But no, in the All Night Die-In, they just threw IPs in there and just hope they didn't get caught because this whenever that came out. But this would be because every year HHN they have their classic horror icon. Like last year we had Jason. Yeah, and like the previous year, what was it?
What was the year before that? Was it Insidious?
I mean,
that's not really an icon, but it's like horror nostalgia.
Like it's a well-known franchise. Like, but you got your horror icons. Like Jason's been to the event multiple times. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, he's been to the event multiple times. Freddy's been like once or twice, not a whole lot. I wish they would bring a Freddy house.
Or Jason, maybe that's what Jason needed last year. Little Freddy in his life.
That was on the Spec map last year, and I was ready for it, but it didn't happen.
We got the wrong Freddy last year.
Yeah, we got Freddy Fazbear. But hey, that house was great too. It was pretty cool. But Hellraiser, have you seen the franchise?
Bits and pieces. I can't sit here and say I've watched all of them. More my parents' speed than
I've
mine.
seen like 2 or 3. I watched the original Hellraiser recently, and I was like, "Ew, this is a movie."
Yeah, a lot of unpack.
Yeah. but the only thing I could see coming in, like what would be cool is having like the Cenobites come in and like having like the hooks going into the bodies and stuff like that. Like I'm interested to see. They got it in a tent, so it's a smaller venue, so it could be more claustrophobic and it'd be in your face, which I think would do it good because like most of the and the especially if it's just based off of like the first two, which by the way, if you haven't seen any of the Hellraisers, I would recommend the first two. That's pretty much all you need to understand the house. But
Sure.
it mostly takes place in like the attic and then the in hell. Like so there's not too many different areas in which it has to go to. Kind of like Sinners where it takes mostly
That's the same basis you get with the older style horror
yeah.
setup. It's very limited on different areas that you see in a horror movie. I mean, same thing with Jason. Jason
Yeah.
keeps it
Okay.
simple. The Camp
Yeah.
Crystal Lake. Freddy, depending on
Michael Myers is in Haddonfield.
yeah, so like Freddy normally does have it on Elm Street and the various houses that come with that, but whatever the main actor or actress might be for that particular film is usually inside of their house.
Yeah, it just takes place mainly in the attic and then in hell.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not. I'm excited to see it, but just because he's technically like this is the first time he's actually coming to the event.
Well, hopefully they do it justice.
Oh,
So,
they will. They will. But
moving along, you want to take us down to tent 2?
yeah, code name is Wagon, and it's a cage with like a human figure and a bear head, and it looks like he's cooking a human on a rotisserie over a fire. And the possibilities could be a number of things, but it's I think it's like a zoo original or like a facility where human hybrids are being created, and like the hybrids break out of their containments and they kill all the doctors and staff in the lab, and that's what I think you see is like the cage. Like it looks like it's a human hybrid because it has a bear head with a human body, and he's sitting there. He's got the which I would think is like a doctor or something of that nature in the facility, or if it is a zoo, then like a zookeeper and roasting the doctor, like the laboratory deal. That's what because that's what it makes me think with the bear head on a human's body is a hybrid. But if it's not that, I mean, I don't see them going down that route, like where it's like cannibal humans kind of deal. But I personally, I hope it is like a zoo or like the paw print reminds me of like Dogs of War, which is a past HHN house, and they were basically creating super soldiers essentially. So maybe it's something like that where they're trying to create like a human hybrid into like a super soldier, and it's like a lab or facility or like a military base. And
maybe it'll start with a lab and then transition into more of like what you were referring to,
yeah,
more like a battle scene,
which would be pretty sweet. I like it. I like the concept.
Yeah, so hopefully so. But we'll go down to our last tent of the tour. So, codenamed Shuttle, and it's an alien with a cowboy hat on. Really, the only possibilities that we can tell is Invasion, which was a scare zone from HHN 27 back in 2017, but more of as a house. But more differently, more like an Area 51 setting, or out west, rather.
Yeah, there's Aliens versus Cowboys has been thrown around, which would be an IP, which I don't see that coming in. So I've also heard that Aliens via Lightning Gulch, which was a Western house from past HHN, the Curse of Lightning Gulch, but like just say like Invasion, the Scare Zone, landed in Lightning Gulch, which would be pretty cool. It'd be kind of like Hatchet and Chains, but instead of demons, it'd be aliens.
And see, Hatchet and Chains to me last year was so underrated.
Dude, by the end of the season last year, Hatchet and Chains became one of my favorite houses. Like
I think you and I ran through the houses within the week we were there, probably 5 or 6 times, if not more.
Probably more than that. That house, like just walking through it, dude, you had the bullet holes going throughout. The scene where they had the screens and the train was riding by.
I mean, I think it started maybe 6 down on my list the first walkthrough, and then it's like every
just slowly rose and rose and rose. Yeah, it's
like and it's hard to do getting a walkthrough several times, and it either not being stagnant or you get a bad one in there somewhere. But I never got a bad run.
No, there was consistent, like good to like decent to great runs. Like when you know you have a great run whenever like there was a scene in Hatchet and Chains where it was like a coffin. And the chains would jingle on it. And that would get you. You know you have a great run. Like when just something small as that. Or like
you know better than anybody. I mean, there are some houses out there that you could go walk through it, and you, even though you're expecting something to happen because you went through the house a couple of times and stuff still gets you, and then you definitely have the
Yes.
houses that you could walk through it 10, 15 times and
you get a
nothing scares
different
you.
something different every time.
Yeah.
Just like it's just that's HHN, dude. Like it's you have to experience each house multiple times. Like you can't just go through a house one time and base your rankings on that. Like you have to go through it, try to get the story, look at the scenes, and then try to like put the scenes and the story together, and then come up with your ranking.
And then we find better times than not that the houses that show success is most likely from the production, the sounds, the setup,
That's
the
what it all
storytelling.
yeah, that's what it all boils down to, really. For like to be a great house, you got to have scenes and
Can't
just
have boo holes and jump
like Jason. You can't just have bull holes going down a hole.
I think they rely too much on Jason's horror
being like a threatening presence, scary. Yeah. But see, like Hatch and Chains, like one of the coolest scenes was like where you had the demon coming through the chimney, and then you had Chains hooking him with his chain, and then in the next scene after that, you had another demon pulling Chains from behind, but you also saw where Chains was dragging the demon out of the fireplace. So, but back to because I could sit here and talk about past houses all day long. But for it to be Invasion, this is Invasion. People have been asking for Invasion, the Scare Zone, to become a house for a long time. Because it's just like it was like the funny, the big aliens. Like they had a whole in the streets. They had a whole crash scene where the saucer was up against the building, like it had crash landed, and then all the aliens just kind of poured out into the streets. And they were like funny, quirky aliens. It wasn't like try to like get you. It was like the funny aliens. Which, if that was to mix with like a western, because he's got a cowboy hat on. I know we just had a western last year, but I personally love the western houses.
Yeah, I've only been 2 years, but each year that I've seen a western house, it's usually a banger.
Oh yeah, but
take us on.
We'll go into the Scare Zones.
Yeah, let's transition into the Scare Zones.
All right. All right, we're going to go back to the front of the park now. Like we're entering all over again.
Lat one completed.
All right, so we're going to enter in. It's the intro Scare Zone. And the image, it looks like a big top circus tent, which from the MegaCon panel, they showed, like when they were showing Jack and Oddfellow and they were face to face, they showed the archways and it had big stream lights coming down and it looked like a circus. So hopefully this year they will do the concept art and we just don't have like the Walking Dead rusted fences up against the wall with the IPs and on it. Like I hope they theme like the whole park to this circus that we're going to.
I mean, with Jack and Oddfellow as your headliner, I mean, you want to stay on theme and keep it very true to the circus theme.
Yeah, the Infernal Carnival of Nightmares, or Icon, is what it's more well known as what they pointed out in the panel. But a couple, I think it was at HHN 25, they put all the way across the pond, like the pond that's in the middle of Universal, how you walk around it, they had a Ferris wheel set up. So it looked like you were in a carnival. But let's go to the next zone. We'll go to New York.
So taking down a stroll down New York, from what we gathered, a generic clown owner is what's looming. So just think of a mixture of all original ideas for different clowns. So things like Terrifier, things like Clowns from Outer Space, which everybody loves.
Killer Clowns.
I doubt we get it.
Yeah, no, they I doubt it would ever.
Pennywise is a little bit too big.
It's too big of a white whale to be just in a scare zone.
Terrifier is a big icon as well, but as we saw last year at HHN 34, Art can roll the streets and stand on his own without being a house. I mean, that's what he's known for.
Yeah.
So.
I'm excited for Killer Clowns from Outer Space. They're so goofy. I love them. I cannot wait for this zone.
I had never heard of Killer Clowns from Outer Space until you told me about it, and then we were setting up in the basement, and we needed some scare actors to obviously dress up as different characters. And a coworker of mine brought in several costumes that she had from her son's Halloween. It was just different Killer Clowns from Outer Space costumes, so I got to dress up as one. So then I started to watch the movies, and it definitely
they're great. It's a banger. Like I love the Killer Clown series.
It mixes the perfect amount of horror comedy.
Yes.
And you need a little bit of that. You need a little bit of a comedic relief in some horror films for it to resonate the right way. So hopefully they pick a good mixture of different clowns from different.
They'll probably have
in the horror era.
They'll probably have some original clowns also, like clowns like Jack's Minions and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see this place specifically. But once we leave New York zone, let's head on to Central Park.
This image is a banana, and this is very, very controversial with everybody, and that would be Fortnite or Fortnitemares. And the reason why it's very controversial is that if we thought Five Nights at Freddy's didn't bring enough kids to the event, then this right here, Fortnite, will definitely bring a lot more kids to the event. I don't understand it.
And not as controversial as far as like, there's nothing wrong with kids being at Halloween Horror Nights, but there are some.
It's recommended 13 and up, but it's just like, I don't know. Nobody wants this.
I don't quite understand.
I don't get it.
Because we've definitely had video games turn into scare zones, video games turn into haunted houses, but they were horror-based games. There's nothing scary about Fortnite other than
Fortnitemares. You have a bunch of like horror IPs. Like you have Terrifier in the game, Michael Myers, stuff like that. But Universal cannot use those IPs because you
had a couple of DLCs with some horror characters doesn't make it scary to me.
Exactly.
I mean, the scariest part of Fortnite to me is the amount of V-Bucks people spend on the game.
I spent some V-Bucks back in the day, let me tell you. But I don't get it. Like, you're going to go from the 9 Cricket Lane, where you had pumpkins in the trees, and it was just set up, like, it was set up perfectly, to this, and, like, I don't understand, like, how they're even going to do it, because in Fortnite, what do? It's a battle royale, and you're using guns. They don't do guns at HHN.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure how you're gonna make that. Maybe they'll change their mind.
But money talks, and this would bring money in.
Well, I mean, nothing against anyone that likes the game, but
we will probably be go through this. Yeah, I'm about to say we'll go through this zone one time, and then we will walk it around it more than likely. But what about the next one, D? Let's go to San Francisco.
So the images at 35 says 35 years, so possibility that this is an icon zone of all the icons from past 35 years, or it's best of like all the best zones from the past years. So maybe just like a big mashup of fan favorites or banger scare zones, banger icons. So I mean, looking forward to seeing what this will be. Very intrigued about possibilities.
Yeah. Especially like you've only been going for like 2 years now. So there'll be stuff in this zone you'll have no idea what it is. But I got you, bro. So
as a fan, I like that. I mean,
so you get to live the past in the present.
I mean, I consider myself a horror fanatic, but only going to this event for a couple of years, I feel like I've missed out on a lot of stuff. So I mean, something like this would definitely
be right up my alley.
Catch me up.
Yeah, it could definitely help things along, like especially if it's like characters from like past houses. So like you could get like a Tooth Fairy, stuff like that. Like just all like the past bangers they had houses, or like House of the Year winners from each year, or scare zones of the year. Just have like pieces of that, or even the icons. Like let's see, you got Jack and Oddfellow, and you got Caretaker, Storyteller, the Terra Quintus, the Usher. Like, there's more icons than just Jack and Oddfellow. Jack and Oddfellow are the main ones, but there's so many more. I have never seen any of the other ones.
So this
So
might be a little bit of a catch up for the both of us.
especially if it's the icons. So like the past houses, I would love to see like anything really, like anything that I haven't seen.
Yeah,
I'll
and
want
probably
to
touch
see.
on a little bit of both. You'll have some nostalgia and then some newly refreshed.
And like
I've
even
seen-
I could even see like the past Jacks, like because Jack has had different forms. Like he's changed his outfits. There's two different versions of Oddfellow. I could see both of them walking around the zone, and it'd be cool. Like if he, especially if they were all hot mic'd, like they like Oddfellow was in the entrance zone in 32, where he could talk to the crowd, or even like Sinister and Surreal. That's two more icons. That's not a very good year, but that was your first year. Even them, they were they were great icons. It's just the year was a flop as a whole. It had some highlights. Like I liked the Sinister and Surreal characters, and I liked some of the houses from that year. But like the event as a whole wasn't cohesive like it was last year, where
There's just a
everything
lot of-
tied in.
Right. The last 2 years ago was just more of a bunch of different areas and niches, just like plug and play, and they just didn't flow.
Yeah, like last year, like even Sergio could be in this zone.
Right.
And it would like because he's call it what you want. He was basically the icon from last year, and
Yeah.
like everything. I hope everything flows like it did last year.
I mean,
And-
Sergio might have been the icon, but everyone knows Art the Clown. I mean, everywhere that man
Art was
man
Art was definitely the icon, but Sergio was the icon if you
Right.
wanted to. But
Well,
that'll do it for the zones. Let's go into street experiences. So at Mel's Die-In, we have a rollerblade, and this only tells me one thing: that the Mel's Die-In zombies, they're back. Which I love that zone or street experience from last year, where like they would just interact with you. Like you walk up to them, they'll try to offer you some brains or an arm, and like it's just I love they're seeing 50s diners zombies rolling around.
I think that specific street experience is what got my fiance Taylor the worst. This last year was her first Halloween Horror Nights experience, and they about had her in the fetal position rolling up beside.
It just feels that area too, in between San Francisco and Central Park, where there's nothing really going on, and we got the Mel's Dying Zombies coming back. They can do it exactly the same, and I wouldn't say anything about it. But what about the next one, D? It'll be in over there in what is it, San Francisco? It's across from Fast and Furious.
Yeah, it's more of a record with some headphones, so means the Tell Me Club Horror is probably back.
Yeah.
And probably be the thing for that this year.
I hope it's themed up this year. Like last year, it was cool. I love seeing art in there, but it definitely if art was there, it would turn into a bottleneck. But that's really all you can. I'm glad that that's not a scare zone anymore, and they can put that there. They have the beer cart there where you can get your beers, listen to some tunes, and just have a good time. I hope it's themed up this year, so we could definitely. It's just not like the basic DJ or something like that. Like I hope we have like a clown up there DJing this year instead of just like the little skull dude or
Fantastic job last year, so maybe they'll give him a call. Our favorite horror pastime. Tell us about some chainsaws.
But yeah, and there's a chainsaw sign in Simpsons, which tells me the chainsaw horde is back. The chainsaw horde last year got so many people on that bridge where you cross over from London to like you're going towards Simpsons Land and like the MIB tent and all that. They would sit right. Well, I sat there and watched them. I was sitting there eating my Parmesan garlic chicken tenders from the Dolls booth last year.
Yeah, that was it.
And I would sit there and I was just watching people getting obliterated by the girl. She was as tall as the post that was at the end of the bridge. And she would sit there and just wait. And then she'd crank up her chainsaw and it'd get people every time. Like she wouldn't even have to crank up her chainsaw or nothing. She could just be standing there and it would obliterate people.
But that's a good shot to the actor doing it. I mean, because there's definitely some people working the chainsaws that definitely don't pick their spots very well and then kind of ruined the moment to me.
Yeah, like a lot of times they like to sneak up behind you. So,
which is great, but not every single time. Like you want to get creative with it.
and especially, and the thing is with them, if you show any kind of like you're scared, well, that's really any scare zone or house, you basically get targeted, and they just keep their on you and on you and on you and on you. But let's go. Let's move into the shows, D. And
so we go first to the fear factor stage. We see 4 shot glasses, or it could be like blocks. So if that would be it, it would spell Jack or Icon. So could be a Jack Carnival or a Carnage, a Nightmare Fuel type S show with icons, or Jack is in it, even though the contract ended last year for the show Nightmare Fuel. Could be something like that or something along those lines. So
yeah,
cool.
Jack. I want to say it was 25. It might have been 30. No, it was definitely 25. He had a show in the Fear Factor stage called Jack's Carnival of Carnage, which was basically, it was like Nightmare Fuel essentially, but with Jack.
The first year, Nightmare Fuel was pretty great. We didn't really care too much about the show last year, but it was more of the same show.
It was the exact same show, basically. It's been the same show since like the first year. Because I'll say my first year, it was basically the same show. They just changed the name of it,
and it wouldn't be bad.
I like the show.
It's a good break in between houses, but I mean, last year for whatever reason, the wait times for the shows were ridiculous.
Because I'm talking about everybody loves the Fuel Girls and just that show. The only thing that I don't like about it is that you would have to line up to watch the show like 45 minutes to an hour early just to hope to get in, because there's so many people there, and that's all they go for is the show. Yeah. And me personally, I would much rather be running houses, walking through scare zones, or eating food than sitting there in that heat for 40 to 45 minutes just to get into the show. And then you're patting in there like sardines, and if it wasn't hot enough, it's nothing but like a fire and explosive show. So it's just you're hot.
Stranger, and there's zero space to breathe.
Yeah. But up next, we have the Lagoon Show. It's just water shooting up in the air.
I mean, last year that was our break.
So yeah, we sat there and watched Hanaphonic. But this year, the rumor that I've heard is that it's an IP show, and I heard that it was also going to be Stranger Things influenced, which would be cool. I would like that, but I think I would rather them do an original take, kind of like Hanaphonic, but change it up, because
make it clown themed. I don't know if that's something.
Yeah, or like just the carnival in general. Make it like Jack and Oddfellow, all the clowns, and just like a carnival themed.
Yeah,
I think I would rather see that than just. I love Stranger Things. I said that's my favorite show, but I think I would rather see an original versus like an IP Lagoon.
Anything that isn't stale is good for me.
Yeah, anything that's new or that hasn't been to the event, or if it has been to the event, like in the 35 years zone that I haven't seen, is great. Like, so D, what's your most hyped out of these speculations, you would say? I mean, for the houses.
I mean, I have two. One, because we all know that the very first one's confirmed, the Jack versus Oddfellow, Chaos and Control. Definitely hyped to see that, just because I wasn't a part of when it first came around. But as far as Spec, probably, and I would say it again, Sinners. Yep. I mean, that movie, it did something to me when we watched it. I mean, it
absolutely.
I mean, it was a movie that I could turn around and watch it again the very next day.
And again. And again. And again.
There's little Easter eggs you could pick up in the movie a couple times after you watched it the first time, but I just really interested to see how they bring it to life. And then for as far as scare zones, probably New York, just a mixture of the different clown. I just see what unique original clowns that they plug in there, any iconic nostalgic clowns that make their way into the mixture. I'm excited.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely Jack and Oddfellow. That's up there. Personally, I'm ready. I'm interested to see the HR Blood and Guts, just because I haven't seen that before. And it sounds very intriguing just because it's the holidays that are kind of messed up. I like Sinners. I can't wait to see that. Really, this whole year just sounds like the more and more we've talked about it, it sounds like a banger. And plus, if the rock fingers or the I love you in sign language turns out to be the Vamp 69 zone, that's just a little pat on the back for me, which would make me feel great. But
let
as some
everybody
scare
know that you
zones,
guessed that wrong. You
yeah,
guessed that right.
as the scare zones, definitely the 35 years. That would be just because it's something I haven't seen. And shoot, even the intro zone, if it's themed up the way that the concept art is with the stream lights and like it looks like a big tent, like a big circus tent, even
Yeah.
that. And then if they have like Jack and Oddfellow over the trusses where you walk under it says Halloween Horror Nights, and they're live mic like sinister and surreal, talking to the crowds as you walk in, that kind of deal. That would probably be one of my most hype zones.
So to me, for intro zones, if I feel the need to stop and like take in everything that I'm seeing, and I'm not into a rush to get to the first house, that to me is when they do it right. If I could care less and I'm like my first instinct is go straight to the house and nothing catches my eye, then that's
it's like last year.
Issues. Yeah, the only thing that I cared about seeing last year was the different statues, but I could see those as I'm walking by. I don't actually have to sit there and stop.
We gotta experience the opening ceremonies this year for sure. And for street experience, I like the male zombies and the chainsaw horde. Really, all of them. Club horror is cool. It's just like a people eater. Everybody can go there, chill, have their drinks and whatnot. But as for the shows, I'm interested to see if the show is going to be a Jack's Carnival of Carnage or something of that nature.
We shall see.
But it's going to be a wrap, y'all. Thanks, y'all, for listening. And y'all can see us in our next episode. We're going to talk more.
We'll deep dive into some of these speculations a little deeper, maybe a couple houses more in depth.
Yeah, we'll probably jump in next episode and talk more in depth about the Jack and Oddfellow house for sure.
So if you didn't hear us at the beginning, you can catch us at our socials at Into the Fog Pod on both IG and TikTok, and Into the Fog HHN on X and YouTube. If you like what you heard today, hit the like button, share, tell a friend about us.
Absolutely. We got to keep this hype train rolling. I need an announcement soon, Horror Nights.
So make sure to follow, subscribe, whatever your platform of preference is. We're going to hit them all. So thank you for joining us.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all.